Okay, guys, coming back at you with another video. I'm gonna see if I can point out some hijacks. I'm looking at a. This is from the Bureau of American Ethnology, 1897 to 98, and I'm gonna read that passage right there. Okay, this is an annual report. It says 19th annual report. Okay, and this is from the Secretary of Smithsonian Institute. Okay, and here's what it reads. It says, in regard to the contact between the two races, and they're trying to say between blacks and Indians, by which such stories could be borrowed from one by the other. Basically saying that their stories are similar. Okay? Because it says it right here in black and white. It says, in regard to the contact between the two races, by which such stories could be borrowed from one by the other. It is not commonly known that in all the southern colonies, Indian slaves were brought and sold and kept in servitude and worked in the fields side by side with the Negro up to the time of the Revolution. And absolutely right, we did not know that. We were told that they tried to enslave Indians early on. Indians couldn't handle the heat and the hard work, so they would escape and run away, and they couldn't be found. Okay, and a few things there. I don't know if you caught that though. It said servitude. It's called indentured servitude. Indentured servitude, meaning it's a work contract. Come in. That's a work contract between the slave and the slave master, or the person buying the service. Okay. And what else did it says? It says, and then, like I say, nobody in history said that the slave and the Indians worked side by side in the plantations. Nobody ever said that in the fields. Okay, so just keep that in mind. This is how slick these folk is. Okay, not to go back to the Spanish period when such things were the order of the day, meaning the Spanish, they did their slavery differently. It was on this. It was. Contract for hire. It was a contract servitude. The name is it's kind of weird, but it's called indentured servitude. Okay, anyway, so in Spain, that was the order of the day. That's what they did. Their slavery wasn't like white people's slavery, when slavery really kicked off, chattel slavery, which was the most harshest form of slavery. In Spain, theirs was indentured servitude. Some of those folks even married with the Spanish, and you know what I'm saying? So anyway, getting back to it, it says, not to go back to the Spanish period when such things were the order of the day, we find the Cherokee as early as 1693 complaining that their people were being kidnapped by slave hunters. Hundreds of captured Tuscarora and nearly the whole tribe of the Appalachee were were distributed as slaves among the Carolina colonists in the early part of the 18th century, while the Natchez and others shared a similar fate in Louisiana. And as late as 1776, Cherokee prisoners of war were still sold to the highest bidders for that same purpose, for slavery. At one point, it was charged against the governor of South Carolina that he was provoking a general Indian war by the encouragement of slave hunts. Furthermore, as the coast tribes dwindled, became smaller in number because of these slave trades, they were compelled to associate and intermarry with the Negroes until they finally lost their identity and were classed with that race, so that a considerable proportion of the blood of the southern Negroes is unquestionably Indian. Now, not one time did they say African. Not one damn time did they say African. It's Negro and Indian. This is the slickness of these people, because they know you wasn't from Africa at not one point in time. They didn't start saying Africa until much later down the line, when Indian slavery became illegal. And I won't get to that. But this says Negro. So the Indian and Negro working side by side. You see the hijack? No, it was never Negro and Indian. It was always Indian. You feel what I'm saying? When they discovered you, when they came here and did business here, and matter of fact, they was people, Europeans had been traveling here, other people, to Americas, you know, and they described the people they saw. They said these people are copper colored and they have very much the Negro in them. You know what I'm saying? And that's a fact. Even today, ain't nothing changed. We are a brown color. You know what I'm saying? We have varying degrees of brown. I'm talking from very white, like light-skinned, to very dark, like mahogany. One other thing about us is our hair. Not all of our hair is kinky, knotty, like nappy. No. Some of us have, very fine hair. Some of us have very loosely curled hair, and then some of us have very tightly curled hair, and then some people got straight out fucking naps. Our hair varies. And that's because we, the black Americans, and the Caribbean peoples, we are the oldest race of people on this planet. Yeah, I said planet. Okay? On this planet. Now, I ain't gonna get into all of that. It's factual. It's just hidden. But again, we're gonna get to that. But again, they never mentioned African not one time in this article. Okay, and you may be thinking, well, African, Negro, same thing. No, it ain't the same thing. Because when you're dealing with people like these racist white supremacists, things they think they so smart when in fact they're so stupid. They don't think we can figure shit out. They've been doing dumb shit so long, and we've been blindsided by it that they honestly believe their own lies. They know the superiority of our brains. They know how genius we are. That's why they fight so hard to keep us suppressed. They just honestly figured they could get away with this shit forever. So they didn't cover their tracks too well, which is good. And our people left clues everywhere. You got the big giant Olmec heads in Mexico that was found. You got pyramids in South America that's bigger than the pyramids in Africa, better built. We brought the pyramid technology to Africa. You understand what I'm saying? And I know that sounds way far out for a lot of you people because we've been so programmed to believe that everybody come out of Africa. But no, not all the racist black people came out of Africa. We basically became existent pretty much all around the same time. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to explain this the best way I can, and trust me, I don't want to get all into that right now, because you're gonna find out for yourself. But let's just go to the Bible. I ain't a religious fella anymore. I'm a spiritual person, but the Bible has stories in it that can help you relate. It says God formed man out of the dirt, right? Okay. But to continue the video about the story of the Bible, God molded humans, man, from the clay of the earth. Now, religion will have you thinking he just did that one time, and then everybody came from that one being. That ain't the case. Basically, what it's explaining is we were all created from the dirt of the land where you are. The blacks in Europe, the blacks in Africa, the blacks in Australia, the blacks in Asia. We come from the dirt, the water, the soil, the atmosphere of that area, and that's why we look the way we look. We all look slightly different. We have different phenotypes. We're not all the exact same. Wasn't no migrations from here to there. Our people probably did travel. Granted, I know they did a little traveling because, hell, like I say, we brought the technology for pyramid building. Our people, the black Americans, to every part of the world. Hell, Asia, China, Africa. I'm telling you, there are pyramids in South America bigger than the pyramids in Africa, in Egypt, right now. Better built, older. They do not allow excavation in America. They basically never did, because they know what the fuck they gonna find. Oh, but they'll let you dig all day long in Egypt. They become comfortable with you over there, digging. And they want us all to believe we come from Africa, because it perpetuates the stereotype of slaves. You see what I'm saying? That's the trade-off for them. Okay, well, they ain't from Africa. Let them think that. Because if we continue to think we from somewhere else, we'll never fight for this land here. You understand? If you don't know this your home, you ain't gonna fight for it. You're gonna always be thinking you from somewhere else, when in fact you from here the whole time. You know, think about this. Let's for 1 minute assume that I'm 100% right, lock, stock, and barrel. Do you know what we've lost as far as just financially? Tobacco, indigenous plant from America. That's the whole cigarette industry. Cocaine, indigenous to South America. It's the whole cocaine drug empire. These things belong to us. This shit is ours. You see what I'm saying? Corn. Corn is that one miracle plant that once it was discovered, it was thought to be a gift from God. I ain't gonna get into that real deep right now, but corn in itself is proof. Matter of fact, it's the largest bit of proof that this continent, North, South America, and the Caribbean islands, was the oldest continent. Corn originated here in Americas, and then we traded it with all of the continents. They came here and they got it. You know what I'm saying? There's a few videos that we're gonna go through that. You know, corn does not grow naturally in the wild. It has to be cultivated by human hands. There is a weed that produced this corn plant, but it was a pure anomaly, a genetic defect. So when our people stumbled across it, again, this plant, oh, it tastes wonderful. It's so nice. It's a gift from God, because they couldn't explain where the hell it came from. They didn't know nothing about genetic mutations. You feel what I'm saying? And genetic mutations happens over thousands, if not millions of years. Okay? Now, in order to grow a civilization, a people have to be able to sit still long enough to build homes, to build temples. You know, you see what I'm saying? To build roadways and these things. In order to sit still, you have to have a stable food source. Otherwise, you're going to have to chase animals and their migration patterns to survive. That plant that allowed us to sit still long enough and build a civilization was corn, maize. Okay? And the plant that produced the corn plant, the maize plant, is indigenous only to South America. It still grows there today. It's just a weed, nobody even thought about it. But scientists have done the research. They found that this is where corn came from. Proof positive that this continent is the oldest continent. We don't know by how many years, but it's definitely the civilization that brought corn to all the other places and the building of pyramids to all the other places, because the proof is right there in South America. 60,000 structures was found using LiDAR technology in 2016. They just released this information. They've been knowing that, but they just released it. So there'll be a whole bunch of other stuff that's going to come to light. But they don't allow no excavations. they don't want you motherfuckers nowhere around that shit, because that blows a whole lie of racism, white supremacy. Okay? So, anyway, I got off track a little bit with that. My goal was to point out this article, and this article was written in 1897. 1897, that's an old piece of literature that tells you that Indians were slaves and they worked side by side with Negroes, not Africans. And they alluded to the fact that the Indians faded away. You know what I'm saying? They just kind of filtered into the black race, when the whole time, no, you are the Indian. You never faded away. You are the Indian. They just just give you a different title, because it worked better for them. Okay, I'm gonna end this video now, and I'm gonna get back with you at another time with another video. Peace out.